Honestly say, and I say with all sincerity, I'm so pleased to be able to work with Lynn, and it's my pleasure to introduce Lynn now for her report.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Bonjour, everyone. I'm going to start by saying congratulations to Ron and to the ROMA board. You've done a fabulous job. And you've been brave. Last year, ROMA took a leap of faith by hosting its first standalone conference in many, many years. Hundreds of Ontario municipalities took that leap with you, and you came back. There's no better proof of success. Congratulations. There's also no better proof that rural Ontario is working together. Your voice is an important one in building the future of this province. Rural Ontario is an important part of AMO as well. We are proud to stand with you. Your efforts are our efforts. AMO will be 120 years old next year, and if we have learned anything over the past century, it's this simple truth. Municipal governments achieve great things when we work together, and we pay a high price when we are divided. To achieve consensus, we have to listen to one another. We need to understand and appreciate the differences that make all of our communities unique. We have to speak with clarity and with purpose, and we must find our common ground. There is quite a lot of common ground. We exist within a shared economy. Our communities have shared values. We operate under rules, regulations, and legislation that, more often than not, treat all municipal governments the same. Often, when we look for local answers to very different challenges, we discover similar solutions, big, small, north, or south. Gatherings like this improve our understanding. They allow us to share concerns and ideas. They allow us to pursue change. In case you haven't noticed yet, we are heading into a provincial election. We've already heard this morning from Premier Lynn. Tomorrow we'll hear from Conservative leader Patrick Brown and NDP leader Andrea Horwath. Over the upcoming months, all three will be talking about change. All three will be presenting bold ideas. In addition to what they are saying, we should be taking stock of their interest in what we, as municipal government and community leaders, are saying. We should be all listening to one another intently. We should all have important choices to make. It's an election year for all of us. Most of us are thinking about the municipal elections in October. Our election promises are relatively restrained compared to provincial leaders. We don't have much room to make sweeping changes. Our commitments are about essentials of daily life. We promise to get at those potholes. We will promise to pave the roads and replace the culverts. We'll promise to look after the things that most people want to forget or they take for granted, like toilet flushing, garbage, and snow. We will promise to make sidewalks accessible, and we will build sidewalks where there are none. If you need help, we'll send it. Police, fire, paramedic. They are our colleagues, we care about them, and we also work hard to keep them safe. We will promise to do what we can to find people housing and care for the homeless, even though municipal government is the weakest position to fund and deliver that. We will turn old rail lines into trails. We will continue to replace the lights in our arenas to save energy. We will promise to keep fighting Mother Nature. We'll battle rain, sleet, and snow, and even droughts. We'll figure out what our weather will be like 20 years from now, and we will build new infrastructure to address that. We promise to plan our communities and deal with our relevant provincial policies and address local interests. And we will do all that and try to keep property taxes low. In fact, we will be promising to deliver most of the services that most people in Ontario use every day on less than 10% of the household taxes that they pay. Day in and day out, we do all of this and more. Frankly, we've been delivering the basics for so long and so successfully that many municipal services are taken for granted until they stop working. Municipal government is not taken seriously as it should be. If we were taken seriously, municipal governments would receive a bigger share of that tax dollar, and we would have a bigger say in how our services are delivered. Our job is to make sure that basic and essential community services are delivered within budget. That is the core responsibility of government. That is your responsibility as governments. Heading into the provincial election, AMO will be looking for fairly simple things. First and foremost, we want to ensure that everyone on the ballot understands and appreciates the importance of municipal governments. Ontario's municipal community is made up of people from across Ontario's political spectrum. But that doesn't keep us from finding plenty that we can agree on. The people of Ontario are best served when the Ontario government and Ontario's 444 municipal governments work together. Let's include the federal government in that equation as well. Disagreements and a certain amount of tension in the system are normal features of democracy, but at the end of the day, our communities, Ontario and Canada, all work best when governments respect each other and work together. Sometimes governments have to make difficult decisions, unpopular decisions. Nobody knows that better than you. Everyone who wants to lead the Ontario government knows this truth as well. While we are here, please be frank and honest with each of the leaders and their teams. If you want to lead Ontario successfully, you are going to have to make decisions to ensure that Ontario's municipal governments are successful. So to recap, we'll be looking for leadership that understands and values the roles of municipal governments. We'll be looking for leadership that will work with us as partners. We'll be looking for leaders who will give municipal government a strong and effective voice. We should have a greater say over how our municipal services are designed, delivered, and funded. Fixing culverts, paving roads, salting roads, sending help when it's needed. It's not fancy, but these are the cornerstones of safe, healthy, and prosperous communities. Look after the details, the little stuff, and the big stuff will fall into place. The biggest detail is our balance sheet. Municipal governments cannot run deficits. We need to make ends meet. When we roll up our sleeves to deliver balanced budgets, our choices are limited. We can stretch tax dollars somewhat further, or we can reduce or eliminate services or deliver them differently if the rules permit. Or we can increase revenue. But let's be clear, our ability to deliver on these three choices is also limited. The province tells us what service we must provide. They set up the framework for accountability, and too often they reach deep into the details and dictate through standards how we must deliver this service and report on it. We don't have a free hand to approve efficiency or control our costs. We know that the local cost of delivering municipal services is growing by $1 billion a year. It's not sustainable, and we do not have the power to stop it. Will the next Ontario government address that lack of authority? If so, how? For years, we've been proposing unpopular but necessary ideas to make municipal government more affordable. Police and fire compensation should grow at normal rates. Giving them increases comparable to other public sector employers would save us about $100 million a year. We've been asking for this for years. Inaction over that time has cost us more than $500 million. In 2015, we proposed 34 improvements to policing that would save millions and improve service. Our work inspired the recent Police Act review, but the results of that review have not gone far enough. If anything, they will increase policing costs even more. There should be reasonable limits on municipal liability that would reduce our insurance costs by about $27 million. Maintaining OMP funding with at least an inflationary rate would save about $11 million. That's a drop in the provincial's budget, the province's budget, but it's massively important to you. For about half of Ontario's 444 municipal governments, a 1% tax increase generates less than $50,000. So, if our costs are growing by $1 billion a year and higher property taxes are our only source of new revenue, all party leaders need to say how high they think property taxes should go in Ontario. We've spent 2 years studying the trends and projecting them for the next 10 years. I can say with confidence that municipal finances are not sustainable. In fact, if municipal costs keep rising at the rate they have been, we estimate that municipal governments will face an average funding gap of about $4.9 billion a year over the next decade. If we rely on property tax revenue, we would need to increase them by about 8% per year every year over the coming decade. That would be just to maintain current services and get at the infrastructure gap. That doesn't even consider new responsibilities like the work to manage legal cannabis. Outside of councils and AMO, there is no one sounding the alarm over the pressure to increase our property taxes, and that should alarm you. At the same time, the public and many groups are sounding an alarm about the state of infrastructure. To fix it, replace it, expand it, significant changes are needed to support the future. Provincial changes that, frankly, are measured in millions instead of billions won't protect Ontario from much higher property taxes. We need to dramatically address revenues. Even Toronto, with its access to the land transfer tax and other tax tools, is not going to achieve fiscal sustainability. Over the past year, we looked at 40 different approaches to tackle your fiscal challenges, including doing nothing. We consulted broadly, and we still are. We have been engaging Ontario municipal community in the biggest discussion that we have ever had. Our work is captured in 3 reports, and we stand by our work. The best path forward for all municipal governments and our province is the addition of a sales tax revenue. Specifically, AMO believes that Ontario's HST should be increased by 1% and that this revenue should be dedicated to funding municipal infrastructure. This proposal has been rejected by all party leaders, but that is not a surprise to us. But the lack of support does not change the fact that it is better than all the other options that we studied. It is better than making significant cuts to municipal services under duress. It is better than having much, much higher property taxes. It is more affordable for low-income Ontarians, and it is the only option that protects those who need to be protected. It's better for our seniors. It's better for people who own second properties and for local economies that depend on those second properties. It's more fair than significantly property tax increases because everyone who uses municipal services would contribute to funding them, visitors included. It's more manageable for businesses, and the impact is consistent for all businesses right across Ontario. This revenue would grow the economy. We would not have to go to our community or the Ontario government year after year, cap in hand. We are confident that it is the right approach because we've heard from you and taken a serious look at your challenges, because we have taken a serious look at all of the options, and because we take municipal government seriously. Anyone who dismisses this idea needs to put their money where their mouth is. What is his or her plan to ensure that municipal responsibilities and municipal funding are sustainable? How will you get us there? Are they choosing much higher property taxes for Ontario? Are they proposing significant cuts to municipal services? Are they prepared to make significant changes to rules, regulations, and legislation? Will they find another way to increase the local share revenue? Will they give us a greater local say? Municipal governments provide public services that people use the most. Will we be given funding, flexibility, and authority to reflect this? It's time for all of us to get that clarity. This year, provincially, Ontario will chart the course that will set the stage for the next 4 years for us. History tells us that whatever the election outcome, change always comes. Over the coming months, AMO will be asking these tough questions. We'll be calling for a local greater share of revenue, and we'll be calling for a greater local say in how responsibilities are delivered. We will analyze each party's platform and provide our assessment of what they would mean for Ontario's municipal governments and for all of our communities. We'll be helping you at the local level to advance municipal government's interests. Watch for our materials, follow our work through our website, through our weekly watch file, and through our Twitter account. If you are not familiar with our local share proposal, I urge you to have a look at it, or if you haven't looked at it in a while, please refresh. We have briefing materials that are specifically designed for councils. We find that once people spend some time with and seriously consider the future and the other options, they tend to come to the same conclusion that the entire AMO board has. So please have a look. Ask the tough questions. Listen to what people are saying. Make sure they are listening to you. Find your voice. AMO will be there for you, working with ROMA and with other municipal organizations to make sure that Ontario's municipal community supports one another and acts in the best interest of Ontario's diverse communities. Thank you. Have a great conference.
Well, Lynn, thank you very much for your message, and also thank you for the work that you do at AMO. It's, as I said earlier, it's unbelievable. Dodging bullets, one thing and another, taking numerous calls and doing the tremendous amount of work. I just had no idea how you find the time to do it all, but I can say this, that we all appreciate your work, and thank you for it. So thank you. Delegates, we now have a break, and if you make your way to the exhibit hall, there will be some coffee there. And don't forget to make sure you put your cards in, because there's going to be a significant drawing for a gift very shortly. Thank you very much.